could not make it. But I have equally great affection for Zach because he let me know ahead of time and he found a replacement, which, as you know, as a Toastmaster, is true love.
Yeah. True love, baby.
True love. We will start with our prepared speeches. Our first speaker today is Rich Briner. We will hear from Rich's evaluator, who is Justin. Justin, you want to tell us what you're looking for?
Absolutely. I'm not 100% sure what I'm looking for in Rich's speech here, as he is going down the new humor pathway we discussed here. So, he's going to complete the first of 3 speeches along the humor pathway. He is on level 2, and this will be Know Your Sense of Humor, where he's going to give a 5 to 7 minute speech with at least 1 anecdote per story.
Thank you. Rich Briner. Rich has been a Toastmaster since 1981. This means he has been a Toastmaster longer than some of you have been alive. He was not born in Montana, but he got here as quick as he could. In 1991, he taught at the College of Great Falls. After 25 years, he retired in 2016. He says he is not really a retired professor. He considers himself a refired professor. This is the 2nd stage of the rocket. Get ready for blast off. Rich Briner up on the rooftop. Rich Briner.
Raise your hand if you've ever had a fear of anything. Yes. Now that you are an adult, raise your hand if you have ever discovered that you had a fear as an adult that you never really knew you had until you were an adult. Okay. None of you are like me. I grew up fearless. I was a speech major in college. I borrowed a couple speeches from my buddies and pawned them off as myself and got C's instead of A's, but I was fearless. Until a few years ago, it was an August summer day, and I taught speech at the college, which means I helped students overcome their fear of public speaking. I gave them a pep talk at the first day of class saying, do the thing you fear to do, and the death of fear is certain. And some of them will go, yes, yes. And some of them will go, no way. But by the end of the semester, they're up there, they're doing it. So I am surprised that I had a fear that I didn't think I had. And it all came about when I climbed up on the roof to survey what my wife and my brother-in-law had been doing for a couple days, tearing the shingles off of the roof. They were all done. They climbed down. I climbed up there and looked around the neighborhood to survey the situation. And all of a sudden, I got this fear coursing through my bones. I never had a fear of heights before, but I did right now. And I thought, I gotta get down. I gotta get down. And so I walked back over to where the ladder was, and it was perched on this awkward place where I would have to reach over, here's the edge, and reach over like this, and then put my arm around it. I couldn't do it. I could not do that move. My wife and brother-in-law were down on the front lawn picking up shingles, and I said, Janet, would you please move the ladder? I'm full of fear here. I can't go climb down this way. She looked up and she said, Rich, quit kidding me. I said, I'm not kidding. I got this fear. I'm really afraid. And she says, just climb down. I said, I can't do it. I said, all you got to do is move the ladder over to the side here against the gutters and I could climb down. She says, I'm not moving. It's going to put dents in the gutter. I'm not moving it. I said, oh, come on, Janet. She says, just climb down, Rich. She wasn't listening to me. So I said, you know, if I had a cell phone, and I didn't at that time, I'd call 911. And she said, that's why you don't have a cell phone. I looked across the street, down about 2 houses, and there was this teenager walking out of his house, getting into his car. And I walked over to the edge of the roof and I yelled, call 911! This is an emergency! Call 911! And he kept walking, he got into his car and he drove away. I thought, what am I gonna do? 2 minutes later, around the corner comes one blue and white cop. Another minute later, another cop. Finally, there's 3 cop cars angled in front of our house as if I'm a terrorist. One of the cops gets out, and of course my brother-in-law looked and saw the cops coming. He says, I'm getting out of here. So he went inside. My wife Janet is standing out there. The cop comes walking up. He opens up his little thing. He says, well, what's going on here? She says, it's my husband. That's him up there. He says he can't get down. He needs help. And the guy starts to write, and then he looks up. Is that you, Dr. Briner? Turns out it's a former student who's a cop. I nodded my head. He puts his notebook away and he says something to my wife. He goes out, gets in the car, tells his other buddies to drive away. I'm thinking, what the heck is this? Suddenly, around the corner comes an 85-foot long hook and ladder, the big red fire engine. Unbelievable. White-haired fire chief gets out, comes up, gets the information from my wife, and he goes over and he climbs up the ladder. He comes up, he sits on the peak of the roof right next to me. I'm sitting there like this. He's sitting back right here like this. And he says, what's the problem, champ? I said, my wife won't move the ladder. He says, oh, you mean she says it's the gutters. We'll dent the gutters if we move the ladder. Is that it? Yeah. He gets up, he climbs down, he picks the ladder up, and he takes it around the corner and puts it up against the gutters. And my wife Janet is yelling, no, no, you can't do that, you can't do that. He does it anyway. I walk over. He says, come on down, sport. And I climb down. End of story. Except I told this story at Speakeasy Toastmasters about a week later. And Corky Grove is the police chief of Great Falls, Montana. And he heard the story and all he said was, Rich, I've been taking notes. We'll be sending you a bill. well, it has been about 5 years. I haven't gotten any bill yet. But what is the message of this speech? If your wife won't help you, call for backup.
Take a moment, have a cupcake, write a note to Rich. And we are ready for our second speaker. Our second speaker is Heather.